Hello, I'm going to be doing a quick story time today instead of sort of like a vlog because obviously I haven't been present this week, so I thought why not jump on here, do my makeup and talk to you at the same time. Because I'm going to be talking so much, I'm just going to list all the products that I use in the description bar below instead of me, I'll just forget to keep going, oh yeah, I'm using this foundation or I'm using this eyebrow pencil. So I'll put everything in the description box below if you are interested in the products that I use. But this is going to be a very quick and easy glam today because I've just got out of hospital and I'm not really feeling amazing. But a little bit of makeup does make you feel good. So I've just got out of the shower, cleaned all my face, washed all my hair, everything like that. So I thought, why not put a little bit of makeup on? Okay, so let's start with last weekend. So last weekend, me and Danny put the crib together in the nursery. And I was already starting to feel, let's just say, a bit cramped. I was getting really out of breath really quick, which I know is really common in pregnancy anyway. So I didn't really think anything of it, but I was like Danny was asking me to like hold something for him in the room where we were doing the crib, and I was finding it really impossible to just stand up and hold like just something together whilst he was putting it in. And I said to him, I'm gonna have to sit down in a minute, I'm gonna have to sit down. And we're talking really basic tasks I was really struggling with. But because everyone tells you in pregnancy, you know, you're always out of breath and you're waddling and things like that, I was just thinking, oh yeah, I'm obviously just finding the last few weeks really difficult. This is where it gets very graphic. Went to the toilet Saturday afternoon, and let's just say, because this is going on the internet for the rest of my life, so I need to word this particularly well. Let's just say when I went to go, it happened very quick and fast. There was no struggle in any stretch of the imagination. Are you following my drift here? Then I went for a wee, and when I wiped, I can't believe I'm putting this on the internet, but I really think it's important if other people are having the exact same symptoms, because all I'd done this weekend was Google what I'd been like experiencing, and it really helped me know what other people had gone through. So this is kind of why I'm getting to this point. I'm not saying this for shits and gigs, no pun intended. So when I wiped, I noticed there was a pink fluid. So obviously I panicked. I was seeing my midwife the very next day. I thought, well, there's no point me like calling up and making a big scene because I know I'm seeing my midwife. There was no blood, but it was just light pink in colour. And obviously I Googled it like I always say I do. And a lot of people were saying this is kind of the start of early labour. Like labour, if you have sort of loose stools, they call it a bloody show. There wasn't any blood in for me, but it was pink. Then a few days later, labour's probably going to happen. So I was like, oh my God, I'm not prepared for this at all. Like I hadn't got a hospital bag. At the time, I was 32 weeks. So I was thinking, no way, this just can't be happening. I went to bed that night and I started to feel really unwell. Like I was getting really bad cramps in my stomach, and I was thinking, maybe I've eaten something weird. Like I kept thinking of all the other things it could be. I just kept thinking I cannot be going into labour 8 weeks early. Like I just can't. It was my first pregnancy. This entire way through my pregnancy, it's been a really low risk. So like every time I go to a midwife appointment, it's borderline boring. Like nothing happens in like 10 minutes. They're like, yeah, everything seems fine. I've got no real symptoms or anything. They take my bloods, they take my like urine sample, they measure me. Everything seems swimmingly. It's been really easy, I'll be honest. So I then went to my midwife appointment and I thought, right, well, I'll tell my midwife how I've been feeling. Every single appointment, I have to go in and do a urine sample, which she checks for any sort of infection and for like sugar in your wee or protein in your wee and things like that. Just general things really. And this happens every single time I have an appointment. I went in, done my urine test. She said, yeah, everything's normal, everything's fine. How have you been feeling? I said, really not well, really cramped. I get really tight. I told her that I, you know, experienced some toilet issues and that I've had pink mucus and is this normal? And her actual words were, oh, it's just classic third trimester. You're going to be feeling this way. It's not very nice, you know, no cause for concern here. Let's check the baby to see, you know, how it's like sitting and stuff. And she sort of measured me all right on my bump. And she said the baby is breached, which means the baby's head is up here and the legs are down there, and obviously needs to be the complete opposite direction. So she said, right, if it's still breached by the next appointment when I'll be 36 weeks, then we'll have to try and move it, or you'll have to go to the hospital to get it moved, whatever. She said, don't worry, most babies are breached at 33 weeks or 32 weeks. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But I was like, yeah, but I'm really just not feeling okay. And she's like, yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's just the last trimester. It's the hardest one. Because I'm a fairly dramatic person, then I kind of just thought to myself, maybe I'm thinking this is worse than what it is. Like maybe all women experience this and I'm just like maybe I've got a really low pain threshold. So anyway, I went and met my mum for a dog walk, and on the dog walk I was really struggling. I was in a lot of pain. My belly was so cramping. All I can describe it is like period pains. My back was cramping, my stomach was cramping, and I was thinking, oh my God, I don't even know if I can carry on this walk. I was walking so slow. I was literally like this the whole time. So we finished the walk, I went home, I woke up on my sofa and I was like, oh my God, I've slept for like 6 hours. I must have really needed it, I must have just been unwell. I started shivering, that's it, I started to get a bit of a fever. You know, you're just unwell, you're like, oh, like that. And you sort of get all into your covers, everything, and I just felt like I was coming down with something. So I thought maybe I have got a viral infection, and that's why I had the loose stools and everything. I went to bed that night and I was up every single hour. I was crying, I was screaming, I was saying, Danny, please help me, please help me. He had work the next day. I felt so sorry because I just kept waking him up. I was just in my bathroom, just rocking like this. I was in so much pain. Danny got me some water. He said, you know, what do you want to do? Do you want to call the midwife team? And I was like, no, because I've seen my midwife today. Like, she said it's just classic 3rd trimester stuff. There's nothing to worry about. But I was literally at this point, like, laying on my bathroom floor crying. Like, it was so painful. Anyway, I took some painkillers and went back to sleep. And the painkillers must have knocked me out or whatever, because I slept, like, fine. Danny went to work at 6:15 in the morning. At about 6:45, so half an hour after Danny left, Don needed to go downstairs for a wee. For those that are new here, Don is my dog. So I remember laying in bed thinking, I can't get up. I can't let him out for a wee. And I was just laying there and I could hear him run down the stairs, and I was like, how am I going to get to the back door? How am I going to get to the door to get him out for a toilet? I just remember thinking this in my head. So I got up and I literally like crawled to the back door on my hands and knees, like I was in agony. I texted my dad, who luckily had the day off, and I said, please, can you have Don for the day? I can't walk him. I can't even be here if he needs to go out for a toilet, if he wants to play. I can't cope today with him. And I thought, I need another day of rest. That's all I need. It's the 3rd trimester and another day of rest. So I didn't want to take any more painkillers because I was worried that I was taking too many. So I thought, right, I know, I'll try and have a bath and relax my muscles. So I got in the bath, and it was really difficult to get in and out. As you can imagine, it's like slippery, so you're already quite scared that you're gonna like slip. And I laid there, and that did help for like 20 minutes. Like my muscles like softened slightly, and I was like, okay, this is a bit better. Maybe I was just having like some stomach cramps. Got out of the bath, put all my creams on, got changed, which already makes you feel better when you're feeling clean and everything. And they started again, the cramps, but this time to another level. I was literally, every like few minutes I was screaming, and I thought, this is stupid. So I called the midwife team and I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. I was crying, I was panicking. I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. My belly keeps cramping. I don't know what's happening. My back really hurts. I don't know what to do. I feel hot. I'm uptight. And they said, do you have a fever? And I was like, yeah, I've got a temperature. And they're like, right, you need to call 111. It could be COVID related. And it was so frustrating because the fever that I had was a drop in the ocean compared to the cramps that I was feeling. And if anything, I felt like I was getting hot because I was so distressed and scared. And I felt like saying, for fuck's sake, like, it's nothing to do with COVID at all. I haven't got a cough, I haven't lost my taste of smell, sense, whatever. I know this is nothing COVID related, this is a baby related problem. And they're like, you need to call 111. So I called 111, who listened to my symptoms and said, you need an ambulance. So thankfully they sent an ambulance out to me, and that arrived within literally 10 minutes. They were so quick. And they came, and the lady that I had was a lady called Jules. She was incredible, absolutely incredible. She laid next to me and she was like, right, darling, we're gonna sort everything out for you here. We're gonna get you to hospital. And she started like listening to my symptoms. She saw how I was reacting in like intervals, and she was like, you're having contractions. That's what's happening. She's like, believe me, I've delivered about 50 babies. Like, I know that you're having contractions. So that then made me think, fuck, like, oh my God, this baby is coming now. What do I do? I haven't got, like I said, I haven't got a hospital bag. I have nothing, absolutely nothing. Baby clothes haven't been washed. Like, nothing. So she said to me, let me help you and let me grab you some bits. She told me things that I would need at the hospital, basically, so like sanitary pads in case I needed things like that. And we didn't just put them in a carrier bag and we just left to the hospital. So I then got to the hospital in an ambulance, flashing sirens, lights, everything. It was very dramatic. I had a wheelchair. It was very dramatic. And she took me upstairs to the maternity triage team. So I then sat in the room with this midwife, and I had my coat on and everything, and I was sitting there going like that. And this lady goes to me, okay, right, let me just go through your notes quickly before we can assess you. Are you being midwife led? Now, that seems like a very simple question, but when you're having contractions and you can't think straight, all I sat there and thought was, well, isn't everyone? Surely everyone has a midwife when they're pregnant. Who would be in the category where you would not be midwife led? And the only other term in pregnancy that I've heard, if you're not being midwife led or anything additional to being midwife led, is you're being consultant led. Consultant led would mean you've either had some complications or you've got some underlying health issues or anything that needs extra care. And I wasn't being consultant led. I was just seeing a midwife like normal people would, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it. I just see her every so often. I think I've met her like 4 or 5 times. It's not really like I said, I've been for no extra scans. It's been a really low risk pregnancy, like nothing has happened. So I said, well, I think so. And she looked at me and she went, well, are you or aren't you? And I said, well, I see a midwife, if that's what you mean. And she said, well, don't you know if you're being midwife led or not? And I just went, well, okay, yes, I guess I am being midwife led, but what else would I be other than consultant? And I didn't know what she meant. I was being consultant led. I was really confused by her comment, but I don't know if it's because I was distressed as well. So then she said to me, have you not read up any of these terms? And I went, no. I had no idea what she was talking about. She was like, right, okay. So then she said to me, you see a midwife, and I was like, yes. She's like, right, okay, you're being midwife led. Right, okay, established, okay. So she then looked through all my notes, she goes, and then she said to me, right, I'm going to put you on a Dorse-Redman machine. And I said, what's that? I don't know if anyone else has heard of that before, but I've never heard of what a Dorse-Redman machine was. And she turned around to me whilst I was contracting and said, have you not read anything? Yeah. That went down like a lead balloon. So I turned to her and I said, don't be so rude to me. I said, I'm in so much pain right now. No, I don't know what a Dorse-Redman machine is. No, I haven't read up on what the machinery is when you need to measure whatever you need to measure. I said, please don't be rude. I'm in so much pain. And she said, well, I'm not being rude, but you know, there's no point me explaining to you what it is if you already know. I said, I don't know what it is. She went, well, it's a fetal heart monitor. Okay, well, I've never needed a fetal heart monitor. I've had 2 scans. My 12-week scan, my 20-week scan, and I had a 4D scan that I paid for. That was basically like just to see what the baby looks like. It wasn't a medical issue. And other than that, I've had no scans. I've not heard the baby's heart rate literally since 20 weeks. So I was like, no, I've never seen it. And she was like, okay. And she was like, oh, I didn't mean to be patronising. I said, you were being patronising. I said, I'm in so much pain right now, and you want to know why I don't know the name of a fetal heart machine. What, I don't understand her mentality behind that. She then proceeded to call me Natasha for the rest of the time I was there, which was so infuriating because she obviously didn't look at my notes or anything. But I appreciate these people are busy, but when you're in such a state of shock, bearing in mind I'm 8 weeks early at this point, been told I'm going to deliver a baby, I am thinking, oh my god, this person doesn't know who my name is, has she got the right notes? It was just horrible, really. So I was then put in this room and given some painkillers, and she said, right, we need to see if you're dilating. So basically you can have contractions, but if you're not dilating, they might be able to stop it, which is good. So I didn't know that. So she gave me some painkillers and she said, I need you to do a urine sample and we're going to test everything. Okay, great. So basically she came back and said, your urine is infected, you have a UTI, there is no question about it. And I said, would that not have been picked up in yesterday's midwife appointment? And she said, was it over the phone, your midwife appointment, or face to face? I said, no, I saw her and gave her a urine sample. There and then I'd done it, gave it to her. She tested it with a strip and said I was absolutely fine to go. I cannot believe for a second that no infection would have come up in that strip. Because within 16 hours I was in the hospital having contractions. Riddle me that. So she then said, let me get a doctor and we just check your cervix, because if your cervix is open, it's going to look like you're going to have to deliver. But if it's shut, we can try and give you some antibiotics to shut the stop the contraction. So basically what I learned there was a UTI, if left untreated, can send you into an early labour. I did not know that. I've never heard that. And obviously because I did have a UTI and it was untreated, it was sending, my body was starting to contract, and I think eventually my cervix would have opened up and I probably would have had to have been in labour. But luckily I trusted my instinct that morning and we were able to stop it. So the doctor then came in and measured my cervix, saw that I had pink discharge like I said, but she said your cervix is shut, which is exactly what they wanted. They're like, this is good, we can give you antibiotics, but we can't give them to you like in a pill, like orally. It will have to be through a drip because that's the quickest way to get in your system. If I send you home now with some antibiotics like through a tablet, it could take a few days to kick in and you could still be going into labour. Whereas if you get it in a drip, we can try and stop this now. So I was like, okay, fine. She's like, but you will have to stay overnight. And I've never stayed overnight in a hospital before, so I was like, oh my God. But I was like, okay. So I then went down to the antenatal ward and I was then thoroughly looked after. I was put into my little bed. I was put on an IV drip thing. I had like a cannula put in me. And I was put on that for 2 days, or 2 nights, should I say. Basically, I was just having this drip put in me to get as much of the antibiotics into me as I could to stop the contractions, and they did stop by 24 hours. So the first 24 hours I was still in a hell of a lot of pain. Every 3.5 hours I was like, get me painkillers, get me painkillers. By the last day I didn't need any painkillers now. I'm not on any painkillers now. Then had to have lots of tests done on my kidneys, and you're not allowed to have any x-rays or MRIs when you're pregnant, so they kind of just have to do kidney scans, and they could see that there were some blockages there. And what they don't want to happen is it to become a kidney infection on the back of my water infection, and then the baby be somehow infected. It could become sepsis. So they want to monitor it really closely. So they've said to me I was able to go home 3 days later, which I did. But I need to go back in 2 weeks' time after I finish my course of antibiotics, and then they're going to assess how my kidneys and stuff look then. With that being said, I'm now wondering if I will make it to full term or not. Because if I go back in 10 days or 2 weeks' time to my hospital appointment, will they turn around and say it's now in your kidneys and you need to deliver? In which case I could be having a baby in the next 2 weeks. Or they'll say it's completely cleared up, your kidneys now look fine, it was obviously just a reaction, and I might go full term now. So I really don't know what way it's going to go. But what I will say is the time that I spent in the antenatal ward, I saw, because you don't have any TVs in there or anything like that, it's just literally you in a bed with these other women. Now obviously I was in a different position to these other women because I didn't want to give birth. I was hoping to leave without a baby. I felt it was, you know, still too early. I still got 8 weeks left. But these women, the women that were in the ward with me were in the opposite position. They were there because they were about to go into labour. So they had most of them were there because they got induced. So they're either overdue or they had maybe some growth. The baby had stopped growing or was growing too much or whatever, and they needed to have the baby that day. So all of these women were in there, and because we are in a pandemic at the moment, at the time of me filming this video, partners are not allowed in until you are a certain centimetre dilated. So I believe it's 4 centimetres, which is fine, but these partners are waiting outside the car park. So basically you get induced, and the induction process can take about 6 hours to happen, and if it hasn't happened in the 6 hours, I believe from what I was hearing when I was on the bed, that it can take another, they'll then put some more gel in, and it can take another 6 hours. And if it still hasn't happened, then I think you need to have your waters broken. That's what I understood the process to be. And I felt so sorry for some of these girls because they're literally just waiting all day to give birth. I mean, they've got these birthing balls, they're sitting here like this, and they're all so lovely. And honestly, the one thing that I noticed that I was just about to say, midwives generally are incredible. Like, I did not see a single midwife not rushed around. Like, when I say rushed around, no one was like relaxed and doing their own thing and standing around chatting. They're like, right, okay, Hannah, okay, so this is what's gonna happen with you, blah, 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 blah. Okay, move on, okay. And then she moved on to the next girl. Like, it was, their process is unbelievable because everything's happening so fast. And nothing is too much of trouble. So if they come in and go, right, you need your meds now, and I go, okay, can I have some water? Yeah, let me go get some water. Back, water, done. Okay, what else do you need? Like, nothing is too big a problem. Like, they will do anything for you. And I don't even mean just the midwives. There's a person that comes around throughout the day to see if you want tea or coffee, cake, biscuits, and they in themselves give such great care. Like, we're talking the entire ward, the team, the care team, health team, midwife team, everything is with the utmost care. So I would say I felt so well looked after when I was there, and it really made me realise what an unbelievable job it is to be a midwife. So what happens now? Well, I am home, as you know. My first thing that I done when I got home was have a bath, because as lovely as the hospital people are and everything like that, you just feel dirty all the time, because that ward is so hot because they have to keep it warm for like the babies and stuff. So literally everyone's walking around in like shorts, vest up, because your back's so sweaty and things like this. So I did have a shower there, but there's nothing like your own shower is there. It's now the weekend. I've been under care by Danny, who's been amazing. And we have been packing my hospital bag, because what this has taught me is that I needed to be ready. One thing that I really will say though, before this happened to me, I asked on Instagram what sort of clothing should I wear to the hospital, and everyone said just go really, really cheap, because you're not going to, honestly, all the gunk that goes through you, you're not going to anything nice. And I remember thinking to myself, no, I want to feel nice, I don't want to get like just cheap stuff. And then obviously when I went in, I had like nothing. I just had a few like clothes that Danny ended up bringing to me. Everything got ruined. Like, and I didn't even give birth. So bear in mind the girls that had blood coming out of them, things like that. But I had loads of gunk put on my stomach every day when they were monitoring the baby. I was hot all the time, so my clothes were sweaty and disgusting, they smelled. So now I completely 100% agree not to spend any decent amount of money on hospital clothing. I did have a scan when I was there, and they did say that the baby is currently weighing 5 pounds and 7 ounces. And I now, at this time, I'm almost 34 weeks, so I have almost 6 weeks left. I don't know whether that's correct or not, or how like accurate they are, because so many people say to me, don't believe them, they're never accurate. But I do feel so heavy in myself. A bit of me thinks, if the baby does come now, like, it's gonna be almost 6 pounds anyway. This is like normal weight, so it's fine. I really would rather not be induced. I'd rather go into labour naturally, mainly because the waiting time when you're induced, it could literally take days. Like, it's not a quick, some people have really quick processes, but there was a lot of girls in there that were not quick at all. So I would just hate to sit there for days and just wait. I would rather it just like start to happen at home, and then me know, right, I'm dilating, or I'm not dilating, my contractions are 5 minutes apart, I need to go, and all this sort of stuff. So I'd rather that, but beggars can't be choosers, can they? So to sort of try and wrap this video up, here's some tips that I would suggest if you were feeling the way I felt. Number one, if your midwife is not listening to you when you say you think something is wrong and you're really concerned about how you're feeling, ask her to refer you. Just, even if she's going, oh, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, say, I really believe something's wrong here, and say, I would like to go and see someone. Because I didn't do that. I just listened to my midwife, who told me this is classic trimester symptoms, and within 16 hours I was contracting 5 minutes apart in an ambulance on the way to the hospital. It was not funny, it's so painful. So I would absolutely, I know it's hard because you don't want to come across patronising when these people do a very, very good job, but you know your body, you must trust your instinct. When I called the ambulance that day, or the midwife team that day, and they tried to say I had COVID, and oh, by the way, when I got to the hospital and I had you have to have a COVID test, and when you get there, it came back negative straight away, like I knew it would. And so just listen to your body. Do not think you're being dramatic by calling the midwife team at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever. You're not being dramatic. You know your own body. Listen to your body. Obviously, some things will just be a cramp here and there, but if you genuinely believe that something is really, really wrong, do not hesitate to call, because you never know. If I didn't call, I think eventually my cervix would have opened up and I could have potentially been given birth on my bathroom floor. Don't be scared of the process. The hospital team and the midwives are absolutely wonderful. You will be really, really well looked after. So once you're in hospital, do not worry. You will be so well looked after. It will be fine. Yes, it will be painful. I, for one, will be taking all of the drugs. If they say to me, epidural, yes, epidural, gas and air, whatever you have to offer, give it to me. Take the drugs, that's what I'm going to say. Because those contractions, I mean, the contractions I was having were painful and I wasn't even dilating. So I cannot even imagine what labour's like. So that's what I'll be doing. Also, if you're watching this and you're around the 30-week mark, pack your hospital bag. Because I turned up to hospital with a Sainsbury's carrier bag. Okay? You don't want to be that girl. The only thing I would say is if you do think you have a water infection, for me, I had no symptoms that I had a water infection. Pregnancy can mask a hell of a lot of things. And when I put it on my Instagram, a lot of girls messaged me and said, yeah, I had this. Like, I didn't even know I had it. It didn't hurt when I wee. It didn't hurt when I felt like I needed to go to the toilet. I was having no toilet issues whatsoever, basically. I mean, God, I've said this on so many videos now. I drink so much. I'm really surprised I even got one. We're talking 2 to 3 litres a day. But it just goes to show that pregnancy is just a very funny thing. And so there's no, for me, I had no symptoms that I had one until when it got too late. If you think you've got a water infection and it does hurt when you wee, or you maybe notice a strong smell in your urine or whatever, I don't know, then you really should look into that and to avoid going into an early labour process. But honestly, just listen to your body, trust your body, and it should do right by you. So I hope this has been informative if you've felt this way, or if you've just been interested in other people's labour journeys, things like that. I know I am in this sort of thing. I really hope though, if you're going through this and you're looking for YouTube or Google for answers, this was my experience. If you have had any of the symptoms, like say the loose stools, the pink discharge, anything like that, this hopefully will resonate with you as my experience, and maybe it can help you too. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Who knows, next time you see me, I could be with child, I could not be. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But thank you for watching anyway. Bye guys.